So, my name is Matthew Beatty, and I'm here to talk to you about a new programming language called Kotlin. So Kotlin was created by JetBrains, makers of the IntelliJ family of IDEs, which is a Java and polyglot IDE. It's open source, compiles to JVM and JavaScript, so you get to access all the cool Java, Scala libraries and stuff like that. You can also do it with Node or client side. So it's designed to be very simple, very easy to use, very maintainable, and to reduce common errors. It supports common paradigms like object-oriented, like functional, all that sort of stuff. So it's object-oriented. You have things like traits and interfaces that you can use. You can implement it with a class, make it abstract, inheritance, polymorphism, all that sort of stuff. It's got some of the things that are traditionally associated with object-oriented, even if they're not required for object-oriented, like properties, with getters and setters and stuff like that you can use just like variables. It's also functional, so in addition to normal function syntax, you also have the traditional lambda syntax, and also introduces an even shorter shorthand for lambdas called with this little it syntax, which I think reads really nicely. It is not empty, just reads like natural language. Like a lot of functional languages, it also has the concept of immutability, but you specify whether you want it immutable or immutable with var or val versus var. But one of the cool things about it is how it's both very flexible and very formal at the same time, and chooses when to kind of be flexible and formal in a very intelligent way. So an example of this is null safety. So it tries to make null reference exceptions basically impossible. So in Kotlin, everything is defined as either nullable or not nullable, and you specify. So by default, if you just specify a foo object, non-nullable of class foo, you can never assign null to it. If you put the little question mark there, it says, hey, you can assign null to this. So in the top example, we have, because it's non-nullable, we can reference non-nullable and get the bar property, and it can never throw an exception. But it also provides some nifty ways to handle nullables. So so the first one there will throw a compile error, like you actually cannot compile that. You can force it if you know as a fact it's not going to be null with the two exclamation marks. Once you've done that, you can keep referencing it directly instead. Or my favorite syntax is this one on the bottom, where you have like the question marks that say like pass the null along basically to the next step. So you can chain these, and then at the end with a little question mark colon, you can specify a default value. So if it's null. So like I find this is really nice because you can instead of going through, if you have a few nested objects, you can just null check the end value rather than have a few nested null checks. It also has the ability that if you define it immutable, it can know that the inside of the null check can't be null, and it'll allow you to just directly reference it. Some other cool stuff that kind of shows off some of the nice syntactic sugar has string interpolation, like a lot of libraries or a lot of programming languages in this class. Has some cool key value iteration syntax, so you can quickly get values from a hash and iterate on them. It also replaces the incredibly ugly select with something a little bit more sane. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things about it. I find it really easy to read, really easy to understand, and really easy to write, and I think it gives you all the tools you need to write good, solid programs. So about me, you can find me at BeattyML1 on just about anything. I posted both the code and the presentation on GitHub, and if you want to see more about Kotlin, kotlinlang.org.